Hi, my name is Linda Cirulli-Burton, and welcome to this channel named Above the Battleground, ACIM. As I go from week to week creating these short videos, I really never know what my topic is going to be, but somehow my topic finds me. It finds me in the situations and events and interactions that I have over the course of the week. Even it could be what I'm reading, a movie that I'm watching. It could be almost anything. In this past week, a number of situations and interactions occurred where I truly felt the desire, a very, very powerful desire to weaken my identification with my body. And what would that mean but with the physical, with the corporal, with the material world? I really felt new urgency to identify instead with my mind. And that's what I would like to share today. So Above the Battleground is based on the teachings of a spiritual self-study path known as A Course in Miracles. I've been a student of A Course in Miracles for many, many years, but it's been recently that I have recommitted myself to this path. And with it came the desire to create these videos so that I could share the wisdom that I'm learning from A Course in Miracles, with the idea that in the sharing it would go deeper within me and maybe be of some benefit to you. So this past week I was in a lot of pain. Actually, I was like really, really afraid, very, very fearful, to the point where there were 2 nights that I didn't sleep for a minute. And I share this with you because on one level it can appear to be disheartening that you can be on a spiritual path for decades and still there are circumstances, events, interactions in the ego world that just knock you for a loop. And so I found this lovely quote a couple of days ago where it said, "Your willingness need not be perfect. Be not disturbed that shadows surround it. That is why you came." So I came, and now instead of just looking at this finite life as a body, as Linda, I instead am looking at this life as my classroom. And the classroom is designed for me to find my way home. So it did in fact take it was rough. This week was rough. But I did find my decision maker. And my decision maker helped me make a choice against the darkness. Now, when I go into the mind of spirit, when I go into the mind of light, I know that you are my brother. You are my friend. We are one in that we have the same split mind, the mind of ego, the mind of spirit. We all have a decision maker. We all are trying to find our way home. We all of us are trying to find our way home. And reaching that peace of God is sort of like the ultimate gift, I believe, of A Course in Miracles. So I had to go to that bench and I had to look at my trauma with Jesus. You may prefer the Holy Spirit. You may have another name for the unconditional love. And I had to look at my own trauma and my own fear that was really related to the human body. And I had to look for the sweetness of Jesus, who understood how fearful I could be, and just be with me while I looked at it. So I wanted to say that there is a big difference between form and content. I want to thank again the Q&A published by the Foundation for A Course in Miracles, because there was a couple of stories that I read in there, people submitting questions that really touched my heart. And one was an obese person who could not crack his addiction for everything that we love eating and that is bad for our bodies. And remember that going into the mind of spirit does not mean that you don't take care of your body maturely and responsibly. In this case, this man knew what he was doing to himself, and he couldn't break out. And I love the answer, because the answer really was somewhere racking around in that ego mind. We come in with so much guilt, so much guilt, sin, guilt, fear. So many of us who punish ourselves, who want other people to punish us so that we can feel victimized, so we can feel pure. It's a really raucous, crazy kind of life in the ego body. And to get in touch with what we are doing to ourselves, and that we really are guiltless and pure, that we really are the perfect Son of God who never left his Father, going to that bench with willingness sometimes that's not perfect, but it's a beginning, and knowing that we are the Son of God. Well, I have to say, it might be that you can't take off the weight, or the weight gradually comes off, or there's some sort of realization and you're just amazing now. But the truth is, almost the externals cease to matter, and what matters is the peace of mind. Jesus says in A Course in Miracles that when we look at his experience with the crucifixion and we get very emotional about it, he wants to remind us that he never lost his peace of mind. He never lost it. Regardless of how our ego minds are seeing it, he never lost it. And I think that the presence in our minds of a being who can hear us, who can listen to us, who doesn't judge us, but just has compassion for us, is the greatest gift of returning to our minds. Now, I want to say, I've spoken of this before, and I have to say this again. The book Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse, in this case, written originally in German, but translated by Hilda Rossner. There's, of course, many translators. This happens to be the one that I read, and I almost cannot find the words to describe the lyricism, the beauty of the language. But I have to say that towards the end of this book, there is a beautiful man that Siddhartha is working with, Vasudeva, and I think I might be really killing the pronunciation of his name, but I think it is, you could say Vasudeva, Vasudeva, but anyway, Siddhartha, on his spiritual path, finds this old ferryman who took thousands of people from one side of a river to the other side of the river. This is the man that Siddhartha found, who was filled up with light. And Siddhartha's story basically amounts to the central theme was that he had a son that he didn't find until the son was 11. And after the mother of the boy died, Siddhartha has this wonderful son. He's living with Vasudeva, and he wants the son to know the light and the beauty of living, taking people across this river. And the son would have none of it. No, the son would have none of it. And so one time there was a fight, and the son left. He disappeared. And Siddhartha's grief was so profound and so deep that he was literally dysfunctional. And he found, the form of his body would do what he was supposed to do. He would take all these people across the river. But his resentment of these people was so deep. How come they can have a child whom they love so much, and why can't I have my son? So there was a lot of resentment. And then, intriguingly, what Siddhartha found, was that Vasudeva would listen to him with compassion, just listen to him, as at some point Siddhartha's pain, which he tried to hide, but which he could never hide from Vasudeva, it needed to come out. The pain needed to come out. And Vasudeva listened to him, and listened to the pain, and listened to the grief. And he listened and listened and listened until Siddhartha was purged. He was purged of the pain. And he could see, instead of looking at all of these individual people, even his own father, he had left his own father to pursue his own life in this classroom. His son had done the same to him. And what Siddhartha found, and it was so stunning to me, was that he went from kind of feeling superior to a lot of the people that he was helping get across that river. And then he started to see with compassion that he was just like those people. He was just like them. And then he stopped seeing them as individual people. And instead, it went to a mind perspective, where at the end of that book, Siddhartha clearly saw that everyone was operating in a dark mind, in a light mind, with a decision maker. And instead of a corporal, physical response to all of these individuals, he went into his mind and he saw clearly that everyone was either looking for love or a release from fear. And the lucky ones were busy extending love because they found out that they had a decision maker who could bring them into the mind of light. So I don't know what it is. I mean, I read Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse, as I said, decades ago. In fact, this is the same book, the same translator that I read back in the day. But now, I don't know, I'm ready for it. I'm just ready. And so all I can say is that, yes, take care of your body responsibly, maturely. You are, after all, in a classroom. And this classroom can bring us home to home that we never left. So this week I'm going to really go to the top of that mountain, go to the bench and sit down with Jesus whenever I'm feeling that I'm being dragged into my own form of darkness. So thank you for joining me, and I look forward to sharing more insights with you. Thank you.